Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director, here with my partner in crime, as always, Mr. Tate Mathews. Tate, this is an exciting show today. We're talking about Willcos Award finalists, but I'm going to be honest, a little bittersweet too that the season has ended, or the school year has ended.
Always bittersweet that the athletic season has ended, but the good thing is we got the Willcos, which is the crown jewel of the athletic season here in the WCS Sports Conference, and it also means football's, probably 62 days, 60 days away. Think about it like that.
It's close.
That's close.
It's close. Well, as I look through here, I love the opportunity to celebrate our athletes, but I guess really the most bittersweet part for me is some of these great athletes that we've enjoyed watching.
Right.
They're moving on to the next level, which is great for them, either continuing to play or just going to college or entering the workforce, whatever it is that they're doing. We won't get to see them perform anymore, at least not locally.
That's right. We'll be following those that continue into college. And, this is the 9th one. So the neat thing about it, it's been that way a while now. But, some of these young people have been on here 4 years, and we've got to see them grow up. And you've got some that are, sophomores. This is their second year. But I always like seeing that as well, watching them go from their freshman year up to their senior year, and to be nominated for this thing once is a heck of an accomplishment. 4, I'd say you had a pretty good career.
Tate, do want to mention, for those out there watching, the Willcos Awards, June 20th at the factory. We appreciate DP and his crew down there at the factory for getting us taken care of. We'll have the crew at MTSU and the truck taking care of us. We'll have Brady Made Events. We'll have folks from WCTV. Obviously, without Walker Chevrolet, our title sponsor for the WCS Sports Conference, none of this happens. Copy Solutions does a great job with our awards. And we can't forget Street Tuxedo doing a great job outfitting the young men as they come across the red carpet.
No doubt about it. All of them have been there since the beginning as well. So what does that tell you? But yeah, had a parent tell me the other day, hey, no, wait a second. How long has Street Tuxedo been doing this? He's got a young man that's up for, he's a finalist. He'll be there. So he said he texted his son, said, hey, how much is that tuxedo going to be? And he said, I don't think anything. So anyways.
Because I'm the media student finalist.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
Pretty cool. And also with Walker, the cars, the SUVs.
Fun.
It's all a big time event, man. So it's going to be fun. If you can, get over there and check it out. And again, we talked about it this weekend. A lot of changes have taken place at the factory. So if you're thinking about attending, if you're someone who can be there but you're on the fence, you need to be there. They've got a few more dining options than they used to have. The factory they're nowhere close to being done, but it's got a nice facelift.
5 o'clock, red carpet show starts. Anyone can come attend that and watch the athletes and teams walk down the red carpet. It's 7 o'clock. That's when the awards show starts. Have to have a ticket to get in if you're a finalist or your son or daughter is a finalist as an individual or on a team. You have an invite. You'll have a place to sit at 7 o'clock. If there's some seats left or standing room only, then others can enter. We do want to remind people, this is, you wear your best clothes.
Right.
You can't roll in your Carhartts.
This isn't the Duck River, the Duckies. This isn't the Duckies. Coach Wild knows what we're talking about. Don't show up in your Chacos and your cutoffs.
It's a little different. We won't have any tennis balls on the bottom of tables and chairs.
No, there will not be.
There's a place for that. Hey, there's a place for that.
There is, just not this.
This particular thing. All right, Tate, let's jump in. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to start off girls and boys basketball. Finalists, girls side, Braley Bushman, Paige, Quinn Johnston, Summit, Ella Ryan, Brentwood, Leilani Washington, Nowensville. On the boys' side, you got Daniel Cochran, Jet Montgomery, both nominated last year. Jet ends up winning last year. Nathan Dillingham of Fairview, I was excited to see him get in there.
Yes.
And Tylen Lewis. And by the way, good time to mention this. nominated by coaches and athletic directors. That's first step. Second step, we have a panel of voters, lots of people from the media that vote on that. No, we're not going to share who. We don't want you to fill up their inbox. But it's a legit process. It really is. So I was happy to see some of these names. And keep in mind, these aren't career awards,
No.
but they are entire season awards. So you see folks like a Tylen Lewis and Nathan Dillingham. If we don't count the postseason, maybe they don't get in, but they were such stars in the postseason, they both end up finalists, which I think is great.
I think 100%. And you know what? We've been doing this now for 9 years, and this is another case. I look at that. Yeah, there were some other really good players out there, really good players. But I think they got it right. I mean, those are the four. Like you said, if you talk about the entire season. So that one's going to be a tough one, man. Jet won last year. That's the problem when you win one that early in your career. He wins it as a sophomore. I think he's got a really good chance of winning it again this year. But those other three now, they had heck of a seasons. I mean, you have a case for all of them. And a little controversial here, maybe not, maybe like undisputed. We can be like Skip and Shannon. I am willing to say that at the end of the year, nobody was playing better than Tylen Lewis.
I 100% agree with that. Now, not that this means anything, but maybe it does. Jet's also up for male athlete of the year.
So you think maybe he got some votes over here and not some votes there? Or
I don't know.
Never know.
I just wanted to mention.
Only one way to find out.
That's right. That's right.
And girls' side, look at that. Okay, Ella Ryan, we all know about that, right? But Quinn Johnson, 100, what? She made 118, I think, threes on the season. Braylee Bushman, I mean, look at 19.1, 5.7 rebounds, 3.1 steals. I mean, she just keeps on going and going. But then Leilani Washington in Nolensville, to her team, she was the district MVP, all-tournament team. She was maybe more important to her team than anybody. So, be fun to watch.
Tough category. Hey, I did want to mention this, and I appreciate the guys at WCTV for hooking this up. If you're not able to attend, it'll be live streamed.
Yes.
The red carpet and the show, the awards part of the show. If you go to at WCSCO Athletics, you'll see that live stream link there. So we're excited about that being possible as well. Let's keep moving, Tate. Girls and boys bowling.
Yep.
We have some names that were familiar from last year. On the girls' side, Samantha Daly, Brentwood, Ashley Johnson, Independence, Annika Midgley, Franklin, Sydney Osborne, Nowensville, and I like this. Also, the brother of Sydney.
Yes.
Noah Osborne, Nowensville, nominated for boys, along with last year's winner, Braden Didier, Franklin, Houston Fulks, Franklin, Drew Whalen, Franklin. They've got 4 of the 8 from Franklin High School. I know some folks could be a little jealous of that, but what I'd tell you is get better.
Get better.
And this is not you get one per team. If a couple of people deserve it, put them in there. Braden Didier won that thing last year, by the way, for Franklin.
That's right. We got the defending champ coming back. And then you were talking about the Osborne. Let's just look at that right there for a second. Sydney with a season average of 158. She had a high score of 195. And then he had a season average of 210. It's pretty strong.
Say that again. 210.
210.
Could you do that with bumpers?
No. Bumpers? No.
No, because you'd have it ricocheting off there. Hey, and I love the deal with Whalen. We talked about Drew a lot. He was a baseball finalist last year, too. Going to Western Kentucky to play baseball. He helped make that sport legit.
I think so, too.
At Franklin, because here's like a dude, and I'm not downplaying bowling. I'm a huge fan of bowling. And Ted Logan, the coach at Franklin, would tell you this. I want some athletes and competitors playing this sport. I don't want it to just be sitting around eating cheese fries and drinking Cokes off on the side. I want people who are into it that know how to compete.
That's why they've got 4 of the 8 finalists.
And the boys made it all the way to the state tournament, lose to eventual runner-up.
We're going to get them.
Oh, we're going to get them.
It's going to happen.
We're going to get them. Let's talk boys and girls cross country, Tate. We've got on the girls' side for the second year in a row, Sophia Boutros from Page, Rachel Hawes Brentwood, Larkin Johnson Centennial, Claire Stegall from Nolensville on the boys' side, Parker Harris also nominated last year, Asher Oates, the freshman from Independence, Robert Patinas from Brentwood, don't call me Rob, who's his dad, who coaches the girls and boys cross-country teams. And then Keller Vaughn of Brentwood. I thought it was pretty cool with Keller and Asher. They also participated at the middle school level when we joined TMSAA. So that was kind of cool. Lots of talent on that cross-country side.
Yeah, lots of talent. I think there's a pretty big hurdle to climb on the girls' side, if we're being honest, right? She owns every record there is in whatever she runs.
You're not talking about Stegall.
I'm talking about Miss Stegall. But, hey, I mean, those other three had great years, so I'll be interested to see where that comes out. That's a pretty big mountain to climb. The boys' side, I think this thing's pretty wide open.
It is. It is. Lots of competition there with Harris, Oates, Patinas, and Vaughn.
Parker was a member of the flag football dynasty.
Listen,
so you know,
this has been well documented. Lots of great athletes in WCS got their competitive start.
His dad, Tiger, probably gave him some of that. Actually, his mom, but yeah, he was part of it. He, wasn't distance running back then, but
got his competitive juices going.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just saying, he was
competition.
Yeah.
You talk about Stegall nominated for track, girls cross country, and female athlete of the year.
She's a sophomore.
No pun intended, but she's running it.
She's running things. I still stand, but now it doesn't seem like that big of a take. She's going to leave here the most decorated track and field, maybe the most decorated female athlete we've ever had here.
So even from afar, when I wasn't in this district, I didn't really pay attention to anything beyond basketball. But I can tell you a name I was familiar with, Koga.
Yeah, right.
Because I kept saying, who is this?
Well, she won everything.
Stegall's better.
Think about that.
Not to upset our independence.
By the way, Koger was a Gatorade winner, Gatorade National Runner of the Year.
She's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Let's talk football. And by the way, Tate, I had to do a little research, but I thought this would be a great gem for this week.
They rarely disappoint.
Colin Hurd.
Yep.
Who, by the way, this year is nominated for Offensive Player of the Year, also Player of the Year. Last year, he was nominated for Defensive Player of the Year. He's the first that we've had nominated at some point for all three football awards. Listen, he may not be, the best prospect next level because of his size for his position, but if you want to talk about a high school football player,
heck yeah,
I'll take Colin Hurd over most.
Without a doubt. Well said. And came over and did what was best for the team, played quarterback, and we used to talk about it on here all the time. Coach Rathbone used to always say the only reason he's not our quarterback is because we've got a quarterback and he can help us somewhere else. So, that's pretty cool. When you said that before the show, the only name that comes to mind that could have been was Tyrell Dotson, but I don't think he was. So that's a heck of an honor. And I mean, then you start looking at his stats. He 2,911 yards, 28 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, 3 rushing touchdowns, 270 yards. He missed time in a couple of games, and that wasn't even his best position.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, these are tough too. I mean,
I think they're pretty wide open.
They're pretty wide open.
You look at defense: Adam Fontesha, Brentwood, Eric Hazard, who I personally think may be the best prospect in WCS right now, only a rising junior. Dominic Reed from Centennial, Taylor Wine going to Oklahoma. From Nolensville, Offensive Player of the Year, we mentioned Colin Hurd. Tanner Lee, Chris Parson of Ravenwood, Mississippi State commit. Kobe Walton, Nolensville, and then Player of the Year, Chance Fitzgerald, Nolensville. Hurd again for Page. Ronan O'Connell. I know you've got a soft spot for this one. You love the big uglies up front. Ronan getting in there as a lineman for Player of the Year. I say kudos to the voters because that's right.
That's right.
And then you've got Dominic Reed, who I mentioned. What a great group of football players.
Heck yeah. You could win a game with all of those guys.
Yeah.
And hey, it's not called skill football player of the year.
That's right.
It's football player of the year. And he ought to be in there. Heck, he might win the thing. He dominates it on both sides of the ball. And so, yeah, I'm glad he got in there too. And he might win the thing.
Also nominated for Athlete of the Year.
He should be.
Because of football. A lot of great offers in football already. Rising senior. Runner-up state wrestling. And oh, by the way, when he had time, he jumped in there and participated in track for that state championship track team.
Yeah.
It's the way it ought to be.
It's the way it ought to be. And it's really hurt him with his offers.
Yeah,
Clemson, Tennessee.
Ronan, you're doing too much. I mean, focus on one thing.
Yeah.
You know, get a sport-specific
80
issue.
plus pancake blocks. That means
Means he flattened somebody.
That means somebody ended up on the ground. That's not fun. That also means he likes doing that. It's awesome. I love
Jarrett Mathews probably a fan of Ronan O'Connell.
Jarrett likes Ronan. They played a lot alike.
Hey, let's take a look at golf.
There's nothing, maybe getting your tail kicked in wrestling, but when you have a lineman who's just pancaking you over, I mean, there's nothing.
Flattening you, by the way.
Flattening. There's nothing more demoralizing than that. Like, well, this guy just let up, man. You know, it's awful. So,
Depending on your perspective.
yeah. If you're on the receiving end.
Let's talk golf. Again, some familiar names. Girls side, Brooke Bennett, Page. Brooke Brummett, Brentwood, the 2-year starting QB for the flag football team and also been a finalist multiple years in golf. Sophia DiPaolo, she won it last year. Franklin High School, Hannah Ruth Walton, she was also a finalist last year for Ravenwood. Then on the boys' side, you've got Grant Clark. He was a finalist last year.
Yep.
Michael Hake, Ravenwood. Will Pinson, Franklin. Jacob Purifoy, also a starter on the basketball team for Brentwood. The thing that stands out to me here, and I've talked about this a lot with Page High School, what Page is doing athletically is pretty impressive.
Yep.
And I asked Dr. Qualls this. I said, hey, would you have pictured a time when the boys team at Page finishes runner-up on the team side at the state tournament, largest classification, and they sort of blew it on day 2? I mean, they kind of did. They had a big lead. Yeah. So they left disappointed that they finished runner-up. Who would have thought that? What they're doing, the Grove.
Well, I was about to say.
Grove.
Well, and then there's a bunch of golf courses out there. So, yeah, man. Well, you said what we talked about it. You know, they like to play the we're just the school out in the country bit. No, come on.
I told you, they're driving international harvesters to school. They're not having to hit the choke 17 times just to get it cranked, like I'm used to back in Central City, Kentucky, the way we had to do it.
That's right.
And we might have driven it to school because it was out of necessity.
That's right. We needed transportation.
Correct. It's not a funzie. We're going to drive it to school just to have a good time. This is because I need to get there.
That's right. It started. It started and it had gas in it. Yeah, man. Well, think about that. Think about like on the girls' side with DiPaolo. I mean, she won the thing the year before. Still had a great year this year, 4th at state. So, but this one. I guess what I'm saying is, I think this thing was closed, but now it's kind of open.
It's opened up a little.
Yeah, a little. There's a crack.
And by the way, our man, Mr. September, Teddy Craig, who won't be able to be at the event, he does this great deal where he goes to New York each summer and works some camps for baseball. He and I talked last week. He was trying to get a little bit of information about who might be winning. No. You get no information.
This is not my first rodeo, Mr. September.
He's the best, man. I love Coach Craig. Done a great job as the coach there. He's made it more. Now, listen, here's what I like about him. these folks know how to play golf.
Right.
He's made it a real team. We're going to practice together. We're going to root for one another. And you can tell that when you go watch matches, the Ravenwood team is connected.
A team. He's a coach, man.
He's a coach. Coach Whipple, Franklin,
Yep.
same kind of thing. Anyway.
And then our man, Jacob Purifoy. This is how good, because I can see it now. The Brentwood boys, and I'm very proud of him, multi-sport guy, playing point guard on the basketball team, great motor. But I can remember the year before when Brentwood boys golf won the state, right? We were there. He was there cheering his team on, and he wasn't even. Is it 5 that participate? In the state tournament, the team tournament.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's 5. Yeah, it's 5.
He wasn't even in the top 5 that year.
Right.
And here he is, got a chance to win a Willcos. So
That's right.
that's how strong.
That's
that
if the
was.
team makes it.
Right,
Individuals can make it,
Right.
but then the team makes it.
Yeah.
Girls soccer. Man, what a category.
Oh.
Some of the names that were nominated didn't make it. Goodness. Avery Brown, Franklin. Bella Macasso, Ravenwood, also a finalist in the flag football category.
And should be.
Maddie Podolsky, Nowensville, who won it last year. Abby Thornton Page, nominated last year. Her team was back-to-back state champions. Here's what I'm going to say about Podolsky, too. Of all these stats, and a lot of things stand out, U.S. national team member. And this isn't some kind of fakey little...
No.
The U.S. national team member for her age. Golly.
Yeah. That one. When you hear that opens some eyes, right? But
there was a deal.
So does that go into this? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it probably does, but shouldn't, but
yeah.
it does.
But it's hard not to. But then you look at those other. I mean, that's a tough category right there.
It's really tough. I think you can make a case for any of them.
All of them.
Volleyball, another tough category. Kara Knox, Nowensville, they dominated all year. People forget that. And then they get upset in the district by Ravenwood. So they get 2, Reagan Larkin, Bella Lepore, and then a young lady who was player of the year in the district. Her team did the best in the postseason. They finished 3rd at the state tournament. Dylan Saucer out of Brentwood, always a tough category.
Yep.
Volleyball.
Really tough one. You can make a case for all of them, and then it's not supposed to be a career award, but you mentioned Dylan. She finished in the top 10 in assists all time. I know this is a one-season award, but that is all time, which probably means that she was 9th in assists at Brentwood High, but I mean.
Well, I think what does happen, if you and I, according to the voters, are equal, but you've had a better career,
Yeah.
or you're on the U.S. national soccer team,
Right.
maybe it matters. All right, let's look at wrestling. On the girls' side, Riley Bennett from Summit, Sydney Huser, Franklin, Riley Lent, Independence, Brooklyn Long, Independence. On the boys' side, man, what a squad there. You could win some duels matches and some individual titles with these guys. Kendrick Curtis, also up for Athlete of the Year, which I love, plays football. Landon DeSalle from Summit, state champion. Jarvis Little, Summit, state champion. Trey McTorry, Nowensville, state runner-up.
That one is tough. Some really, really good people.
It's tough.
Well,
It's tough.
a state champion's not going to win it. I don't know which one. Maybe both, but I don't think so. I think this is really a Summit race this year. But somebody's going to lose, and they were the best in their division that year.
Incredible.
This year, I mean.
Incredible. Hey, a couple other categories I want to mention here. Very important categories. Our cheer and dance teams.
No doubt.
Emma Harvey, Franklin, Addison Meekin, Brentwood, Luca Ornelas from Summit, Anna Palmieri from Ravenwood. That's the cheer side. On the dance team, Isabella Allen, Independence, Hannah Davis, Summit, Hayden Sloan, Centennial, Lacey Whitley, Brentwood. And I'll tell you what these young ladies do for school spirit. And if you took a look, because part of the nomination process for this group was the difference they've made in the school and in the community, it's
Impressive.
kind of makes me feel less than when I read.
Man, I really
like-
didn't do much.
I need to do more. I need to step my game up. But they're very much appreciated. And believe me, athletes. It's not. Oh, they're not?
Right. You go do it. Well, and I know you remember this by far. No, not by far. They were two of my favorite categories when they came up through the red carpet last year. They brought it with no surprise, right? But they were fun. They had great enthusiasm. They were glad to be there together. Looking forward to having them come through the red carpet.
The interview skills were on point.
They were better than most.
Another good time to mention of some other awards that we're going to give out that night. We're going to recognize the Student Athlete of the Year. Mayor Builders Sportsmanship Award, another sponsor that's been there the whole time. Done a great job. $5,000 goes with that one, by the way.
Big time.
Which is big time. Media Student of the Year, you mentioned Lincoln Campbell earlier from Page High School. He's nominated. John Galius from Summit. Mickey Stoll from Summit. Anna Ray Jones, last year's winner. Media Student of the Year. We'll get Dr. Qualls up on stage. He'll do his thing. We'll have to go wrap it up. We'll also recognize...
do we have somebody in place to start playing music, kind of like at the Oscars?
That's fantastic. We need that.
We do.
We'll also recognize a sponsor of the year, the Courage Award. This year sponsored by Compass Mortgage. We appreciate them being part of it. A female and male multi-sport athlete of the year. That's one of my favorites.
Might be my favorite. That's awesome.
I believe in the multi-sport athlete.
Well, it's part of why we're so successful here.
Well, I've said this over and over. Brentwood, always one of the leaders in the state in terms of students who play more than one sport. And we can say what we want. The most dominant public school athletically in the state is Brentwood High.
That's right.
All my Franklin people are going to be on my case.
I mean, it's just go count them. Go in the lobby and count those gold and silver balls, plaques.
I mean,
it just is what it is.
They've won the last 2 years 8 team state titles.
8
team.
And if you were to ask them, they feel like they left a couple on the table this year.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's thinking.
Yeah. No sympathy from the rest.
Let's jump into our spring sports. Baseball, another great category. Harrison Cowdery from Independence. Ethan McIlvain, Nolensville. Connor Paul, Ravenwood. Ryan Yates, Centennial. Now, here's the thing that, again, I like about this. So Ryan Sweeney, Centennial, very much could have been a finalist.
Yes.
He was a district player of the year, a co-player of the year. But his own teammate, Yates, what he did in the postseason sort of elevated him to maybe the next level of being a finalist. Pitched a no-hitter in the sectional, which is sort of a big deal.
Yeah.
Was the winning pitcher in that game that they won at the state tournament. So obviously a pretty big deal there. Great group of young. I'll put it this way. When several of these baseball players play, there's somebody back there with the old gun to get
from out of town,
from the speed of the pitch.
That's right. Well, this one's going to be interesting. I would think that the highest prospect status goes to our man McIlvain, right? Did the voters take into account what you just said? We talking about season and in the postseason, Ryan Yates had the best.
That's right. The thing I love about McIlvain and Yates, and the others too, they're not one-dimensional.
No.
They play offense, they play defense, they pitch, they hit, they do they're players.
Yeah. Most of the good high school ones are, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm seeing some guys specialize, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but I'll say this. I will say this. Here's something I've noticed. The guys who play both and they do other things don't have some of the same injuries as the specialized guys.
I agree with that. 100%. 100%. This next one's tough.
Next one's tough. Boys soccer. You got a couple from Brentwood. We've talked about their dominance, up for Team of the Year. Coach Purcell's up for Coach of the Year. Cooper Bailey, who was so dominant during the year, didn't play the last two. Maybe that's a factor. His teammate, Thomas Fields, Davis Long, another multi-sport guy, really good basketball player too, from Franklin. And then Adrian Biasima from Nolensville.
All name team for sure.
All name team for sure, playing for Coach Shelton. He was district player of the year. I got to think it's leaning towards one of the Brentwood guys.
And here's the problem. Cooper Bailey is their best offensive player, and Thomas Fields is their best defensive player. So does that cancel each other out? I don't know.
Offense sells tickets, defense
Wins championships, baby. I mean, seriously,
It's tough.
it's tough. But I know this. The last guy you mentioned, if you get on a basketball court, he's taking all of them to the rack.
Davis.
Yes.
Love Davis, man. Great young man, great family.
That's a tough category.
Very, very tough. Here's another tough one, softball. Ryan, yes, I'm going to play for Texas. Brown out of Independence.
Oh, and by the way, nobody likes trying to pull her flag on the flag football field.
They didn't. Lauren Johnson, Centennial, Alabama.
Yep.
Ella Polk, rising senior there for Page High School. And then Miss Strikeout herself, Rylan Smith. Got to think Rylan's got a pretty good shot there. But I'm telling you, any of these four could win this.
Rylan was quite possibly responsible for the shortage of Wilson 9,000, 9011 softballs the past couple of years.
Because
Strikeouts. And
Right. She kept them all.
golly. Hey, how come we don't have any softballs? Something's going on in Nolensville.
Another tough category. Always a tough category in WCS. Let's look at girls and boys tennis. Franklin on the girls' side, Aubrey Carper, Maddie Darude from Page, Emsley Meyer from Brentwood, Grace Stout, also a finalist last year from Ravenwood. On the boys' side, you've got Jake Dunn from Franklin, Sam Frank, Fairview, Evan Lee, Brentwood, Stephen Smith, Brentwood. On the girls' side, here's the one I think that's tricky for the voters. So you've got Aubrey Carper, who goes undefeated in singles during the year, including a win over Stout, 8-4. She plays doubles in the tournament. She makes it to the semis with her doubles partner. Grace plays singles. She gets beat by the eventual state champion. And oh, by the way, her and her doubles partner go undefeated during the year, including a win over Carper. I don't want to be the one having to make that decision. I'm not saying the others can't win, but those are certainly the two favorites.
Yeah, and you make a case for both of them.
Depends on who's selling.
That's right.
I'm telling you, that's a tough event. Tough event.
All of them well deserving, though. And the thing I love about the tennis, I can remember when this first started, it'd be 2 Brentwood and 2 Ravenwood, and 3 Brentwood and 1 Ravenwood. And now you saw Franklin start creeping into this a few years ago. Now you have Fairview. I love it, man. We're so much more well-rounded in tennis than we used to be. What do you tell me? There's gonna be an email coming on this one?
Just don't come up and talk to me afterwards. It's supposed to be a happy time. Girls and boys track. Now on this girls side, we've been talking about tough events. This may be the toughest.
This is awful.
You've got Gabrielle Boulay, Miss 800, who also set a state record that was there for 400 years as part of a relay team.
And she crushed it.
Crushed
at
it.
The state track meet.
She's a female athlete of the year finalist. Claire Stegall, we've already talked about her, and a female athlete of the year finalist. Sarah Tang, Independence, discus and shot put. She's kind of a dual athlete there. Sophie Yount scored the most points of anyone at the state competition, including winning the pentathlon. So Sophie, obviously pretty tough there. Then on the boys' side, you've got Hudson Elaine, Brentwood, state champion team too, by the way.
Yep.
Aiden Carter won the decathlon.
State championship
for
team.
Brentwood. Cole Combs, part of a state championship team, and he won. He was in the discus and shot put, was a state champion. Miles Raymer, for even state champion. This is the joke how tough this is.
Maybe you ought to just give them all one. Thanks for playing. So here's the problem. I don't know that's really.
What do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do? I don't know what you do.
I wish, yeah. So girls track. Well, Aiden Carter. Remember when, was it Dan and Dave and they had the greatest athlete in the world.
Yes.
Okay, well, they were saying the decathlon champion is the best athlete in the world.
He's Male Athlete of the Year finalist.
He won the. So does he get? So you say the same thing with Sophie? Does she get some extra points because it was pentathlon?
You could justify it. Hey, and in the case of Sophie and Claire, they're rising juniors.
Juniors now.
They've done okay.
Well, they'll be in this again next year. They'll be in it. Anyways,
It's
yeah, it's
incredible.
tough, man.
It's incredible.
Yeah, those are going to be really fun to watch. I wouldn't want to be setting the lines on those two. Do you go by one event? Most dominant, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you said, Sophie had more points than anybody on the girls' side.
Well, it was kind of, when you look at the Athlete of the Year, and I appreciate the person who's so dominant in theirs. Take my man Reese Glover, when he was a Male Athlete of the Year finalist and should have been. He was the most dominant at his sport for any sport. You can just write that down. And I'm biased, but he was.
Well, he was.
But he doesn't win it because of our man from Fairview, who was like football, basketball, track. So I get it.
Yeah.
Depends on where you're at as a voter. Hey, I did want to mention, too, before we talk about these athletes and coaches and teams of the year, flag football. We're going to recognize them this year. Obviously not a sanctioned sport. Again, don't fill my email box up. But what makes it different, it's a pilot program for the state of Tennessee, TSSAA.
That's right.
So we're giving an award.
We should.
Lila Gardner, Franklin. Bella Micasso, Ravenwood. Lillianne McElroy, also a dominant soccer player, Fairview. And Nicole Rezzani from Summit, pretty darn good basketball player too. So I love that category. Love being able to recognize them at the Willcos.
Yep. And it won't be long, and it will be a TSSAA.
2 years, I'd say.
But that's a tough one too. But Micasso and the way she breaks on those balls, takes those pick sixes the other way back. She kind of tugs at my heartstrings a little bit.
Soccer and the flag football defense is coached by
Coach Mancini,
the soccer coach.
Yeah.
So maybe she should be up for
the play she made in the championship game. That was awesome.
ended it.
That was a morale killer.
Morale killer. Let's talk about these, and we've mentioned these, but again, Female Athlete of the Year, you got Boulay from Centennial, Stegall from Nowensville, Ryland Smith, dominant in her sport from Nowensville, Sophie Yount Brentwood. On the male side,
so tough.
It's tough. You got Aiden Carter, who we mentioned, Kendrick Curtis, Fairview, wrestling and football. Jet Montgomery dominates his sport, independence. Ronan O'Connell, Mr. Do-It-All in 3 sports, so
Well, but let's
one.
say this too. It's hard to tell, but didn't Ronan dominate his sport, football? They were runner up.
We sort of dominated wrestling.
Yeah, right. They were runner up. He dominated the poor guys across from him. What did we say? 80% pancake or whatever. He got runner up in wrestling, and most of those wins that he had were pins. He's squeezing some.
He
poor
got
guy's
beat
head.
by a year-round wrestler in the final.
And a really good one.
Really good. And he was
He was in it.
He was, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah, one mistake. Back.
but that's a guy who's wrestling all year.
It's a tough one.
It's a really tough one. Let's talk about those coaches of the year. Love this. This is an award that is given out by our superintendent. Mr. Golden always comes in and does that, which I love. Female sports coach of the year, so it's sports team.
Yep.
He's obviously not a female. Nathan Clapp, Page Soccer. Joe Fatoris, Brentwood Track. Luke Patton, Nowensville Softball. Rob Patinas, Brentwood Cross Country. On the boys' side, the male sports team coach of the year. I loved it that he got in here. The retiring Rob Boffman, Centennial Baseball.
I did too.
Mike Purcell, Brentwood Soccer. Charles Rathbone, Page Football. And Mark Wilkins, Independence Basketball. Now, let's admit this because this is true. Basketball and football sort of get, I think, a little special treatment with voting because I think in the voters' minds, number one, it's the way those sports are set up are a little bit different. You don't necessarily have people off coaching people specialized in some of these areas. But And let's face it, it's the popularity of those two sports. Right. Will that matter? They were both runners-up. Will that sort of supersede the state championship Brentwood soccer team?
I think this, for as big as it was, I think this kind of flew under the radar. And also it was the timing of it. School was out. There's only one team on there that can say national number one.
Brentwood boys soccer.
Brentwood boys soccer.
And legit poll. Which brings me to the teams of the year.
Yep.
And it's not all that you think it's the coaches. It's not the same necessarily. On the female sports team of the year, you've got Brentwood cross country, Brentwood track, state runner-up. Nolensville softball, top 3. Page soccer, state champion. Male sports team of the year, Brentwood soccer, we mentioned. Brentwood track, Page track, all state champions. And Independence boys basketball, state runner-up.
Which in 4A, come on, man.
That's what I'm saying. So do they get the votes?
Maybe. It wouldn't surprise me. I think that national number one is the whatever, the thing that puts them over the hump. But
what a category. It's one of the things. Now, what will happen is in these 40 events, we'll probably have 5 or 6 winners that aren't there. Lots of our football guys are off, already starting their college careers. But the part I love about doing it in the summer, this is the seasons are over. The seasons are done. There's no, well, we played great in the postseason and we should have been team of the year. Everybody's in it now. It's tougher to win those awards than it used to be because the seasons are done.
That's right.
And that's the way it should be.
It gives you the best picture, like we know, like you said.
And I certainly understood having the event in May. You'd have more people there, maybe more energy around the event in terms of outside energy, but not really. It's still very well covered. I just felt like, and Dr. Qualls and I talked about this a lot, I wanted to have the right winners.
I agree.
And this guarantees doesn't guarantee it because some
picture.
out there will say.
Well, you can't say, like you said, somebody goes on a tear in the postseason. You can't say, well, had the voting been done
right
after that, it would have gone in this young man or young woman's favor.
Postseason for these awards matters.
It ought to always matter.
It matters.
Look at some of the examples we see. Look, how many times have we seen a Heisman Trophy winner go lay just an egg in the bowl game or now the playoffs, and everybody's like, playoffs? But anyway,
For some reason, I'm thinking Gino Torretta.
Gino Torretta.
Was that the one that Alabama just totally dominated them with Stallings?
Yes.
And wasn't our man Lemansky Hall part of that team?
Yeah, he was.
Clemson assistant coach. He was out at the workout.
Willcos workout. Working the crowd.
Free to people who play, who part of it. Free.
Yeah, free.
Didn't part.
Yeah. Thanks for the invite to the Billy Joe.
Tate, can't wait to see you at the Willcos. It's going to be fun. I saw your tux. It was picked out for you by Mr. Street and the crew. Looks good.
Mr. Street or John Street?
Mr. Street.
Boom!
Mr. Street.
Let's go.
Looking forward to it, Tate.
Yeah, we're going to have a great time. Our good friend, Coach Carrie Goodwin, will be there.
She'll be there.
The red carpet. Hey, not gonna give it away. You've added a couple of little twists and additions to it that I think that are going to be great additions. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here today. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here all year. We're going to take a little break here in the summer. No, it won't be many weeks, but always appreciate you doing this. I know you're busy.
Love doing it.
Thank you for joining us for Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.